Hey everybody, back here at HumanX 26. Really excited to be here with my pal Maxim, co-founder and CTO of Temporal.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's great to see you. So for anybody watching this that's not already familiar with Temporal, what is Temporal, who uses it, and why?
So first, Temporal is an open source project which it's been around for over 10 years. It's MIT licensed, so it's real open source, no shenanigans. And we solve problem of package distributed systems. We make your code durable, which means that if you run a function, it crashes, process crashes in the middle of executing that function. We will resurrect it where it failed. Like, for example, if we're blocked on an API call, and then when reply comes, we will resurrect that function exactly the same state, still blocked on the same API call, and it will continue executing as nothing happened. Which means that you can have functions which cannot crash and run for a year, for example, and all the state is preserved.
Seems like a very different way of writing software. Like the normal way people think about building programs is it runs in a declarative fashion. If it crashes, that's it. You don't have this like durable nature of it necessarily.
Yeah, I think practically you do it yourself right now, right? Every time something changes, you write it to a database or a queue. So all our software is read from database, write to database, read to database, mutate something, write to database or a queue, and it's kind of cycle. And in this case, you just don't think about it. Every variable is durable, so you can just put stuff in any value in a variable, and it will be there for as long as you need it. So it completely changes the way you think about software.
Where did this come from? Can you give the quick backstory of like when
So
that
it
was
came
developed?
over practically a lot of iteration. So first time this idea came at Amazon, I was kind of tech lead for a simple workflow service, and we kind of started to iterate on that. But as most of you probably never heard about simple workflow service, that didn't kind of catch back then. But later we built similar system at Uber. Me and my co-founder of Temporal, CEO, currently CEO Samar, and we got a lot of traction within Uber and then outside, as it was open source from the beginning.
I think that's probably where I initially heard it years ago, the open source project. And then, I don't know, we probably met like 3 or 4 years ago, back before the AI takeoff, and certainly before people are building agents. Talk about how Temporal is different today or how it's being adopted in the AI era of software and agents.
So essentially, Temporal is not different today.
Right. It's
Temporal is the
pre-AI,
same.
it's the
We
same.
actually don't have, we are probably the most used AI company, which is not used by almost every AI company out there. And we don't have any specific AI features because we solve the underlying problem of reliability. And then when you write, and you just write normal code, and if you write code which calls LLM or calls tools, that code becomes durable. So we kind of fit into that. We solve problem which most people don't realize they have when building agents. But if you start thinking about productizing your AI application, you kind of need us. So we see a lot of uptake from AI usage in AI companies. At the same time, again, we are not like AI company in the sense that we provide AI features.
We have kind of the same thing. I was joking with like WorkOS is over 7 years old now, but by revenue, we are an AI infrastructure company today, which is so funny to think about. That wasn't designed for that necessarily.
Exactly, because AI is just another, if you think about what is AI, AI is practically always systems. They're just distributed systems. Okay, some of your API calls are very smart and return a lot of unstructured data, like call it to LLM, but at the end, it's just a bunch of API calls which you need to orchestrate. And durable orchestration and reliable orchestration is important, and like obviously security is also important. So it is just more moving parts. The way I kind of describe it is that with every new iteration of technology, we just get more moving parts and distributed parts. Like the last iteration was like all about agents, not agents, but lambdas or like serverless. But now we've got sandboxes, we've got agents, and like just more moving parts which need to talk to each other.
Can you talk more about that? How Temporal is a particularly good fit for agents, how they execute, how they run, kind of the patterns of like autonomous software background execution. I guess we're calling it agents now, but it's been around for a bit.
Yeah, so I think if you can think of agents as dynamic workflows, right? Because obviously when we talk about AI, there are like fixed workflows, which people call deterministic workflows, right? And when you say your API calls, and some of them can be LLM calls, for example, transcode a document, right? Do something. But then we have real agents, which are like fully dynamic workflows, but they're still workflows, right? Because you call LLM, it says, okay, I need to call these tools. Then you call tools. Then you wait for tools to return, and kind of it's still a sequence of steps. And you can crash in the middle of any of that sequence anytime. especially if you your tool call can be long. Because problem is that most of the existing frameworks or protocols, for example MCP, they weren't designed for long running operations. But in real life, your tool call can be 2 hour one. Let's say you want to pay for something and it requires some human approval, right? So that API call can take 3 hours or maybe 2 days. And none of the existing protocols were designed for that. And we solve this problem seamlessly. Your agent can wait for 2 days on something and then resume automatically without you even writing that code.
You can wait for 2 days, you can wait for 2 years, I guess,
There is no difference really.
Yeah,
Code
yeah.
is exactly the same. 2
Yeah.
seconds or 2 years, code is exactly the same.
What about with people building these autonomous workflow things like OpenClaw? I don't know if you're running your own
There are
OpenClaw
multiple.
or
Yeah. There are multiple. At least in our Slack channel, we have like 20,000 people in our Slack channel now, and we saw a few announcements when people actually build alternatives to OpenClaw. They claim it. I never looked at OpenClaw code. They claim a better quality code, but the idea is that it's exactly the same functionality, but they build it on top of Temporal. And last time I've heard from a few of my friends which used OpenClaw that it's an awesome concept, but it was very, very unreliable. So it was like failing left and right and get stuck all the time, like because it didn't have proper error handling. I'm not even talking about your machine going down and losing all the state. And these frameworks, which are built on top of Temporal, they provide the same functionality, but they're fault tolerant and can migrate from one machine to another and so on.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny you're saying like hadn't read the OpenClaw code. I'm not sure anybody's read the OpenClaw code, even Peter.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was web coded, but that is the beauty of the thing.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, how is the business at Temporal evolving and changing in terms of how you're running the company? I'm curious, like how your team is writing code, how you're adopting AI for your own internal process. I'm sure in a lot of ways your software engineering lifecycle is also pre-AI, and this is not the kind of stuff you can exactly vibe code, your way into. I mean, the stuff you guys are building is absolutely mission critical.
That is exactly. We are kind of selling reliability because people who we have open source software and our open source software fully featured. So the only difference between our paid offering and open source is that we just run it for you on the cloud and it's more reliable. We believe you can run it better than you. So, but we don't negate features, right? So we cannot just the moment our cloud starts failing, all our customers will leave us. So that's why for us, obviously, reliability is the most important part. So we should always kind of be very, very careful. At the same time, we clearly encouraged use of, we don't mandate, but we certainly encourage use of coding tools. And we see a lot of code written by them, but still, human is in the loop. Every line of code should be reviewed. And yes, you don't want on your code review, don't understand what this line of code means, even if it was written by AI. At the same time, I think the biggest changes are around product. For example, our product team maintains their own set of skills, pretty like the skills repo, and which has access to all the appropriate internal data sources. And they see huge improvements in their productivity. Also, obviously, our sales organization. So practically all other functions are clearly, and like obviously marketing, are benefiting from AI big time. But other part is that troubleshooting, right? Like because we run cloud at scale. So I think the AI agents, and we want to use more and more of them, is, probably we still want humans to take action, but troubleshooting production issues, getting like as also our users, because we have like tens of thousands of users of our open source. So one thing we want to do is that help them troubleshoot their applications when they run on us.
Anything in your personal AI stack that you're using today in
I
terms
am
of your
very
own?
primitive. I just use Claude Code and Codex kind of interchangeably, and they kind of, I ask them review their each other code, and I kind of, as everybody else, I was kind of skeptical. But last December, we have this company, what we call study period. So practically, like almost for like 2.5 weeks, the whole company kind of goes this period when there are no meetings. You can take vacation, or you can just work on your projects. So for like 3 weeks straight, I was coding and I've got this moment of Claude Code, like 6 projects in parallel, and I certainly was sold on the technology. And I probably used more tokens than like all the other half of the company that we those 3 weeks. But I clearly just kind of in like Claude Code and Codex camp, like not many tools and MCPs, just pretty vanilla setup at this point. But yeah, we want to kind of improve from there.
So the cost of writing software like that has plummeted. I mean, it's so easy to generate code and build stuff and build pretty compelling, interesting things. Where do you think this is going? Like by the end of it's April right now. By the end of the year with these more capable models, when you can one shot and generate products and build like really compelling things.
I think it certainly will kind of, it depends on the way you're in the stack, right? Like if you have Linux kernel, you probably will be able to write some code there, but I don't think you will wipe code the kernel anytime soon. One day, right? It will be a very interesting time when somebody can say, write me a version of Linux kernel with these requirements in Rust, right? Or rewrite it TypeScript. Okay, kidding. But I think we are pretty far from that still. Again, nobody knows, right? The timeline. But I clearly see that business level applications absolutely can be vibe coded right now 100%. And everybody's trying to build infrastructure for that. We are certainly part of that game. That's why Temporal is, because we provide durable execution out of the box. We actually the best target platform for code generation, because it's one thing to say I have these business requirements, convert them to code which doesn't care about fault tolerance, or just call these 15 APIs in like certain sequence, right, based and map data between them. It's different than say, okay, now make this code to run with like 100 million parallel customers and reliably in all sort of failure scenarios. And as we solve it on the infrastructure level, right, that's why we see much more generated code. Other part is migrations. We clearly saw customers migrating from legacy technologies to us, and it was taken months before. Now we hear people doing that like in a week using our skill, for example.
Awesome. Well, I know you guys aren't super public about your customers, but I'm sure everybody watching this has used products powered by Temporal. So thanks so much for stopping by, and thanks for helping keep all of our AI stuff humming along.
Thank you.